Let me ask you something. How many times have you started something with all the energy in the world, only to let it fade piece by piece by piece, because the results didn't come fast enough? You said, tomorrow I'll get back to it, but tomorrow turned into a week, a month, a year. Sound familiar? That's the struggle of consistency, and I'll be honest with you, it's not easy. But let me tell you something else, nothing worthwhile in life comes easy. Consistency is not a gift. It's not something you wake up with one morning like a spark of motivation. No. Consistency is a habit, built brick by brick, choice by choice. It's waking up every day and showing up not because you feel like it, but because you decided it's worth it. Motivation is a liar. It whispers in your ear, telling you it's got your back when you feel good. But when the alarm clock rings at 5 a.m., when the gym is cold, when the dream feels far away, motivation is nowhere to be found. That's when discipline steps in. Discipline says, get up, you don't need to feel like it, just do it. I know what you're thinking. But what if I fail? Let me flip that question for you. What if you succeed? Every time you fail, you're one step closer to success. Every stumble is proof that you're trying, and trying means progress. Consistency is not about never failing, it's about never stopping. I think about this: water doesn't break rock in a single strike. It's the drip, drip, drip over time that carves through stone. The same is true for your goals. Every action you take, even the small ones, adds up. And here's the truth: nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to remind you every day to stay on track. You've got to hold yourself accountable. When no one's watching, that's when it counts the most. Excuses? Throw them out. I'm tired, I don't have time, it's too hard. Do you want success or do you want to stay comfortable? Because you can't have both. But here's the good news: you don't have to be perfect. Consistency isn't about never missing a beat. It's about getting back on track when you fall. Progress, not perfection, that's the name of the game. So tonight, I'm not here to just inspire you, I'm here to challenge you. Tomorrow, force yourself to take one step, just one. And the day after that, take another. Before you know it, you'll be miles ahead of where you started. Remember, the power is in your hands. Force yourself to be consistent and you'll force your way to success. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that fire inside, that surge of energy when you decide to start something new? You've got your plan, your goal, and you're ready to conquer the world. Maybe it's a fitness journey, a career move, a skill you've always wanted to master. The first few days, you're unstoppable. But then life happens. That fire starts to flicker. The excitement fades. The alarm clock rings and you hit snooze. The voice in your head whispers, you can skip just this once. And before you know it, that dream, that goal has slipped further and further away. I want you to imagine something. Picture the most successful person you know, the one who seems to have it all together. Do you think they wake up every day feeling motivated? Do you think they're always excited to put in the work? No, they're human, just like you. The difference is they've made consistency their superpower. They don't rely on fleeting feelings of inspiration. They rely on discipline. So tonight, we're not going to talk about quick fixes. We're not going to talk about waiting for the right time or the perfect moment, because that moment doesn't exist. But what we're going to talk about is the one thing that separates the dreamers from the doers, the starters from the finishers, the ordinary from the extraordinary. And that one thing: consistency. Let me tell you this: forcing yourself to be consistent isn't just about achieving goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to give up on themselves. And if you've been waiting for a sign, for permission, for someone to tell you it's time to start, let this be it. Right here, right now. The question is, are you ready to force yourself to be consistent? Because if you are, I promise you, your future self will thank you. Consistency is the quiet force that bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It's not flashy, it's not glamorous, and it doesn't demand attention, but it is powerful. It's the steady drumbeat of effort that keeps you moving forward, even when progress feels slow, even when no one else is cheering you on. Many people misunderstand consistency. They think it means being perfect, never missing a day, never slipping up. But that's not what it is. Consistency doesn't require you to be flawless. It only asks that you show up again and again. It's about committing to your purpose, to your vision, no matter how many times you stumble or get knocked off course. I think about this: a single drop of water doesn't seem like much. It's small, unremarkable. But when that drop keeps falling day after day, year after year, it can carve through solid rock. That's what consistency does. It takes your small, repeated efforts and turns them into something extraordinary over time. But consistency isn't just about the big picture, it's also about the day-to-day choices we make. It's choosing to stay focused when distractions try to pull you away. It's deciding to keep going even when you're tired, unmotivated, or uncertain about the outcome. It's recognizing that every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Consistency is also about trust. When you are consistent, you build trust with yourself. You prove day by day that you can rely on your own commitment. That's a powerful thing. Because when you trust yourself, you stop waiting for permission or perfect circumstances to take action. You become unstoppable. It's not easy. There will be days when you don't feel like it, when the temptation to quit feels overwhelming. But those are the moments when consistency matters the most. Those are the moments that define you, that strengthen you, that shape you into the person you are meant to become. So what is consistency? It's the relentless pursuit of progress. It's the decision to show up, to try to push forward even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And it's the unshakable belief that every effort, no matter how small, is a step toward greatness. Motivation is a powerful feeling. It's that spark of excitement, that burst of energy when you decide to take on a new challenge. It gets you started, makes you feel unstoppable for a while. But here's the truth about motivation: it's unpredictable. It's fleeting. Some days it's there pushing you forward. Other days it's nowhere to be found, leaving you stranded, unsure of how to take the next step. That's why discipline is more important than motivation. Discipline is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's a muscle you build through repetition, through doing the hard things even when you don't feel like it. Motivation might get you out of bed one morning, but discipline is what keeps you getting up day after day when the excitement has faded and the grind begins. Motivation is unreliable because it depends on circumstances. A good day at work, a compliment from someone, a sunny afternoon, those things can light a fire in you. But what happens when the day is hard, when criticism comes your way, or when the skies are gray? Discipline doesn't waver in the face of those challenges. Discipline says, it doesn't matter how I feel today, I'll still do the work. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who achieve their goals, who seem to always move forward. Do you think they're always motivated? No. They've just trained themselves to rely on discipline instead. They've learned to do what needs to be done, even on the days when they'd rather stay in bed, when they feel uninspired, or when the results seem far away. Discipline is a choice you make every day. It's choosing to show up for yourself, even when no one else is watching. It's putting in the effort, not because you're fired up in the moment, but because you're committed to your long-term vision. And that's where the magic happens, not in bursts of motivation, but in the quiet, consistent actions fueled by discipline. The beauty of discipline is that it doesn't rely on outside forces. It's completely within your control. You don't have to wait for it to strike like lightning. You create it. You strengthen it every time you push through resistance, every time you follow through on your promises to yourself. So while motivation may give you a head start, it's discipline that will carry you across the finish line. It's not about how you feel, it's about what you decide to do day in and day out. And when you choose discipline over motivation, you take control of your journey, no matter what obstacles come your way. Fear of failure is something we all face. It's that voice in the back of your mind that says, what if I try and don't succeed? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail and everyone sees it? That fear can be paralyzing. It can stop you from taking the first step, from stepping out of your comfort zone, or from giving your best effort. But here's the thing, failure is not the enemy. In fact, failure is one of the most valuable tools you'll ever have. I think about it, every successful person you admire has failed probably more times than they can count. They didn't succeed in spite of their failures, they succeeded because of them. Failure is a teacher. It shows you what doesn't work, pushes you to rethink your approach, and most importantly, builds your resilience. The truth is, you can't avoid failure. If you're trying to grow, to achieve, to become better, failure will come. And that's okay. What matters is not the failure itself, but how you respond to it. Will you let it define you, or will you use it to refine you? Failure is not a reflection of your worth. It's evidence that you're trying, that you're stepping into something bigger than your comfort zone. The only real failure is never trying in the first place. Because when you don't try, you rob yourself of the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to discover what you're truly capable of. Instead of fearing failure, start reframing it. See it as a necessary step in the journey. Each setback you face is like a brick in the foundation of your success. Every stumble teaches you how to stand stronger. Every no gets you closer to the right. Yes. Fear wants to keep you safe, but growth doesn't happen in safety. Growth happens in the uncomfortable, in the uncertain, in the places where failure is a possibility. The question is, are you willing to take that risk? Are you willing to fall, knowing that every time you get back up, you're stronger than before? Remember, this failure is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. If you fail, you can try again. You can adjust, pivot, and push forward. But if you let fear stop you, you'll never know what you could have achieved. So don't run from failure. Embrace it. Learn from it. Let it shape you into the person you're meant to be. Because the only thing more powerful than success is the person you become on the road to achieving it, failures and all. We often underestimate the power of small actions. When we think about success, we picture big, bold moves, the grand gestures, the massive breakthroughs. But the truth is, success isn't built on occasional bursts of greatness. It's built on small, consistent actions repeated over time. Imagine this: a single drop of water doesn't seem like much, it's light, almost insignificant. But let that drop hit the same spot over and over, and eventually it carves through stone. That's the power of small actions compounded over time. It's not about making one massive leap, it's about taking small steps day after day until you look back and realize how far you've come. Every small action matters. Every decision you make, whether to wake up early, to work out, to read a chapter of a book, to practice your craft, adds up. These tiny choices may not seem like much in the moment, but over weeks, months, and years, they create momentum. They become habits. And those habits shape your future. Excuses are the stories we tell ourselves to justify inaction. They're the reasons we give for why we can't start, can't continue, or can't finish. They sound convincing in the moment, don't they? I'm too tired. I don't have time, I'm not ready yet. But when you strip them down, excuses are just barriers we build to protect ourselves from discomfort, fear, or the possibility of failure. Here's the truth: everyone has reasons to not take action. Everyone has challenges, responsibilities, and obstacles. But what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck is not the absence of excuses, it's the refusal to let those excuses control their actions. Let's be honest, there will never be a perfect time. There will always be something competing for your attention, always a reason to wait until tomorrow. But here's the thing: tomorrow never comes. The only time you have is now. Every moment you spend making excuses is a moment you could have spent moving forward. Excuses often feel like they're protecting you, keeping you safe from failure or discomfort. But what they're really doing is holding you back. They're keeping you in the same place, preventing you from reaching your potential. The more you give in to excuses, the stronger they become. The good news is the opposite is also true. The more you push through them, the weaker they get. The first step in overcoming excuses is recognizing them for what they are. They're not facts, they're choices. When you say, "I don't have time," what you're really saying is, this isn't a priority. When you say, "I'm too tired," what you're really saying is, "I'm choosing comfort over progress." Once you recognize this, you can take ownership of your decisions. The next step is to challenge your excuses. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or am I just looking for a way out? Often you'll find that the excuse is just a mask for something deeper: fear, doubt, or a lack of confidence. And the best way to overcome those feelings is to take action, even if it's small. Excuses lose their power when you stop giving them attention. Instead of focusing on why you can't, focus on what you can do right now. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something. Because action, no matter how small, creates momentum. And momentum is the enemy of excuses. So the next time you catch yourself making an excuse, pause. Remind yourself of your goal, of the reason you started. Then make the choice to act, not tomorrow, not later, but right now. Because every time you overcome an excuse, you're one step closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. Here's the thing: no one can make the choice for you. No one can force you to take the steps, to put in the work, to stay consistent. You have to decide for yourself that your goals, your dreams, and your potential are worth it. You have to look at where you are right now and ask yourself, am I willing to do what it takes to move forward? It's easy to sit here and feel inspired. It's easy to nod along and agree with everything we've talked about. But inspiration without action is meaningless. It's a spark with no fire. And I don't want you to leave here today with just a spark. I want you to leave with a plan, with a commitment, with a decision to take control of your life and your future. So here's my challenge to you: don't wait. Don't put this off until tomorrow, or next week, or when it feels convenient. Decide right now in this moment that you're going to take the first step. Maybe it's a phone call you've been avoiding, a task you've been procrastinating, or a habit you've been meaning to start. Whatever it is, do it today. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, just do it. And do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Because the real challenge isn't in starting, it's in continuing. It's in showing up on the days when it feels hard, when progress feels invisible, when excuses creep in. That's when you prove to yourself what you're capable of. You don't have to tackle everything at once. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just take one step, and then another, And keep going, because every small action you take brings you closer to the life you want, the person you want to become. I challenge you to stop waiting for the perfect moment. I challenge you to stop letting fear, doubt, or excuses hold you back. I challenge you to take action no matter how small today, right now. And I challenge you to keep going, to stay consistent, and to refuse to give up on yourself. The question is, will you accept the challenge? Will you decide here and now that you are worth the effort, the time, and the persistence it takes to succeed? The power is in your hands. What you do with it is up to you. Let's take a moment to reflect. We've talked about consistency, what it means, why it matters, and how it's the foundation of any meaningful success. We've faced the truth about excuses, the fleeting nature of motivation, and the necessity of discipline. We've seen that failure isn't something to fear, but something to embrace, and we've uncovered the undeniable power of small actions repeated over time. But now it's no longer about what we've talked about, it's about what you will do. Because nothing changes if you don't act. Words are just words until you give them life through your choices and actions. You have everything you need to move forward. You don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to have it all figured out. All you need is the courage to start and the commitment to keep going. It's not about massive leaps, it's about small, deliberate steps that over time create extraordinary results. So as you walk out of here today, take the challenge to heart. Decide that you won't let fear, excuses, or uncertainty hold you back any longer. Decide that you'll show up for yourself, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Decide that you'll be consistent, disciplined, and relentless in pursuing the life you want. Because in the end, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And every day that you choose to push forward is a step toward finishing strong. So go out there, take that first step. And remember, the power to transform your life is already within you. All you have to do is use it.